Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the virtual media day for the Full Figured Industry Awards 2023. I am your moderator, Gabriella Symone Parker. I am also the assistant production director for this prestigious event, and we are so excited to be here with you tonight. I am going to get out of the way and introduce our CEO, Ms. Tawana Blassingame. Ms. Tawana, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. We are less than 48 hours away. How do you feel?
I was good until you said we were less than 48 hours away. I do better with days than hours.
We don't have days left. We are down to hours, but we are ready. Everybody's super excited. Everybody's getting those last minute appointments in, hair, nails, makeup, going to the designers, picking up their wardrobe and everything. So I can't wait to see everybody. We're on here tonight to answer some questions, go deep into your mind, talk about your vision, talk about the process, what it took to plan this event, and what comes next. And we have a few media partners here, some of our sponsored media partners, to sort of help guide that conversation. So I'm going to introduce them one by one, and you'll get to hear a little bit more from them later on this evening. So, first, I want to introduce Iya of Shapely Events. Hi. And next we have Jaffar from Fearless Curves magazine. Good evening, sir. And then we have Kirklan, founder of XL Tribe. Good evening. And we have Miss Maddie Jones from Plus Model magazine. Hello, gorgeous. It is good to be here with you all. I can't wait to get to some of your questions. And for the audience that's watching, we want you to not only like, share, comment, but this is an interactive live and we want you to get involved. So if there are some questions that you want answered, go ahead and put it in the chat right now throughout the live. Put it in the chat, and you may have an opportunity to get your question answered on this live tonight. But keep listening because some of your questions may already get answered. But in any event, please like, share, comment, and interact with us tonight. We're going to have some fun, all right? So,
Yes.
first, I want to talk to Miss Tawana. I want her to introduce herself, talk about what the FFIAs is, what it was, and what it will be going forward.
Sure. So the Full Figure Industry Awards, it's another one of my babies. I created it just because, it wasn't, we didn't have an award ceremony just for us. And
Right.
we deserved that. We worked hard. So, why not have it? Somebody had to create it. I was waiting for somebody else to do it, but I took
Build
too
your
long.
own table, right?
So, yeah. And so we had to do it. I got with my team and we had to make it happen. And then, the other reason is because when you look at the mainstream awards, it's like you don't see us in the plus industry honored at those events. So, somebody had to do it. You don't really see, it wasn't enough. I don't want to say you don't want to see because we're starting to see more of plus bodies on red carpets. So at the time, you didn't see enough of us on red carpets. Our designers were not, you didn't see their design on the red carpet. And so we had to create this space for us to shine. And that's what the Full Figure Industry Awards is all about. What it will be, we'll talk more about what it will be as we go into this Q&A, because I know we'll get to it. But that was the whole purpose of the Full Figure Industry Awards, and I'm proud of it.
I love that. And we're proud of it too. And we're happy to be a part. And we
Thank
thank you
you.
for your vision and creating the space for all of us to be celebrated for sure. So
Thank you.
now I would like to go around the room, and we have our media partners here, and they have some really good questions that they want to ask. And before you ask your question, I would like for you to introduce yourself, your outlet, and just a little bit about who you are in the media world and in the plus industry. Okay. So I'm going to start out with Iya of Shapely Events.
Hi guys, I'm Iya of Shapely Events. We are a digital community of plus sizers. Our focus is on lifestyle activities, skiing, brunching, active stuff like that. And we also audit spaces and develop what we call Fatty Friendly, which is a digital guide so you can know before you go if the place or space is going to be conducive to someone of your size. Okay. So our question was everyone's version of success is different, right? What do you look for as far as success goes when considering a nominee, or is it solely recommendations from other people?
That's a good question. Now, I feel like I'm taking an exam now. So success is personal for each and every one of us, right? And so I can't say that one person is more successful than the next. And so our nomination process is not really built on how successful you are. We create guidelines for people to submit, and you follow the guidelines and you submit based on those guidelines. If you fit the criteria, then you submit. I think everybody is successful. If you wake up in the morning, put your feet on the floor, you're successful, right? But
Yeah.
it's the nominations, the categories are built on guidelines, criteria. You meet the criteria, you make it as a nominee if you are nominated.
Keyword. Right? Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. That if you are
Thank
nominated,
you.
right? Um, that's a teaser to a conversation that we may be having a little bit later. So stay tuned. Jaffar, please introduce yourself.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jaffar, CEO, founder of Fearless Curve Magazine and Fearless Curves Photography. And basically, we are a new magazine that's coming out next year with full of fashion, full of curves, and just taking a new step to bridge the gap from state to state internationally with the whole Fearless Curve movement. And that's what we're about. My question to you, T, is that being that you have done this awards before, and I'm here for the second time, and I wanted to know, will you be taking this internationally? Because you're doing big things. So will you be stepping out of the realm of right here, and we take this across the world? Because ain't nobody
So
doing it like you.
if you're talking about doing a full figure industry awards tour, um, I have not considered that. However, I will say this. I consider the Full Figure Industry Awards to already be international because we already have nominees who are nominated who are not in the US. So I already considered the fact that we are already international is, are we going to be stepping out of New York and producing another show out of New York? I'm not really sure yet, Jafar. We are 4 years in, and you talking about taking it across the globe. I'm not sure yet. let me let me get New York straight first, and then we can revisit that international thing. However, if someone international is listening and want us to come, feel free to hit us up.
Facts.
That's funny. Absolutely. We love to travel, okay? There's something so nice about it being in New York, which is, proclaimed as the fashion capital of the world. And people come from all
Right.
over to come to New York to make their fashion dreams come true. So there's something a little poetic about it being in
Absolutely.
the heart of the fashion capital of the world. But yes, we love to travel. So hit us up. Absolutely. Kirkland,
Yeah.
please introduce yourself.
All right. Hello, everyone. So, my name is Kirkland. I am the founder and CEO of XL Tribe. So for us, we saw all of the plus size women in the space killing it. I mean, I've been watching, a few of you all for years now. And so what I didn't see was men. And for me, that was the space I wanted to fill. Specifically, Black plus size bodies was what I uh, wanted to focus on. And so my whole vision was to be um, create a space for plus size men to find inspiration for their shopping, whether it be clothes, shoes, accessories, um, even down to like understanding color therapy, like why you wear the colors you wear. So that was what my focus is and was when I got started with my brand. And so that's where XL Tribe came from, the birthplace of wanting to help plus size men. And so my question is, I, Tawana, have tried my hand at the magazine like you have, and so I'm intrigued at your editing process. Like, how do you decide who to interview? How do you decide like what to take out? Like that is a question that was burning when I thought about what you do as a creator.
Okay, so, oh, Maddie, how do I decide? So people submit to us on a daily basis, and for
Okay.
me, it's again, I think that everybody is successful.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends on what your story is. Imagery is everything. Okay, you can have a great story, but if your images are not professional and they suck, you have to take it back to the drawing board. So it's the whole package. You submit to
Okay.
us your story. You submit to us your images. We review it. If it fits what we are putting out in that particular issue or a future issue, then we'll go for it. If it does not, I don't like telling people no, but I am more than happy to refer you to another publication who I feel like your style fits it better. Because, we in the publication arena, people think that we don't talk, like we're all pretty cool, right? So if you submit something to me that's not on par with my brand, for whatever reason, yeah, I don't mind calling up one of my counterparts and be like, hey, I have the submission. You want to take a look at it and see if it'll work for you. That's pretty much how we choose. It's not like everybody gets in the magazine, everybody does not get in the magazine. Article wise, it's pretty much what's trending, what's happening that month, what is fitting our theme is how we pick and choose what goes in the publication that month or period.
Okay. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Now to our other editor on the call, Miss Maddie Jones. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Maddie Jones, and I'm the editor at Plus Model Magazine and co-founder. I am the oldie but goodie. I've been around since 2006. So I consider myself the oldie but goodie of the industry, and I'm super excited to see the industry grow the way that it has. We have an award show, we have multiple publications, we have so many companies and organizations, and just people that have taken, just like Tawana has, have taken up the cause and said, this is where I want to go, this is where my passion is. And I love watching that. I mean, watching us grow goes with the ethos of the brand. I believe in unity. Unity is
Hmm.
the only way that we will continue to grow. And I feel like that's what we're doing here every single year with Tawana and the FFIAs. So my question is, can you share some of the key milestones or accomplishments the FFIAs has, kind of been through since its inception? Because I feel like 4 years in, you kind of make it seem like, it's only 4 years. It's been a really good 4 years. You've been through it. We even did it online one year during, I'm not going to say the word, but you really out here just doing it, and you really have taken up that cause, and you can't just say, it's been 4 years. It's been 4 years. Like, applause to you.
Thank you. So the interesting thing about the 4 years, it's been a different 4 years, right? So it's not 4 years in a normal situation. We've had to go through the first year, learning what we are supposed to be doing, because that first year, you go in with this idea of this is what I want to do, but you learn so much that first year. And then second year, boom, we're hit with the C word, and it's trying to get back on track to that first year of, what did we do that first year that we can now take into this fourth year, because it's almost like we went from 1 to 4, because 2 and 3 was pretty different. And then we kind of skipped the year. So some of our milestones, I guess, I've really learned a whole lot. I've learned what people want from the Full Figure Industry Awards, and going back to when I started it, it's not necessarily what I wanted. I had this idea when I went in. I wanted to do A, B, C, and D. And then doing it, I kind of just learned and listened to people. This is what we want. This is what we don't want. And so you've noticed over the years that there have been some changes in terms of the categories, how we name them, why we name them, and who qualifies, who doesn't qualify. So, and we're still learning. So I don't know. I might get this. I might hit the nail on the head by year 10.
I think you're doing fantastic. I mean, all of us wouldn't be here, year after year supporting you in any and every capacity that we could if we didn't believe in what you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We're so proud. We have now I have Miss Tiffany Lady T. Watson of Fox 45 Baltimore. Hello, beautiful. How are you?
Hey, love. How you doing, girl?
I would like for you to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your outlet, and then go right into your question.
Oh, okay. So I am, I guess, Tiffany Watson. I go by Lady T. I am a two-time Emmy-nominated TV host, lifestyle TV host on our show Be More Lifestyle on Fox 45 in Baltimore. Yes, I know. And recent face of Queen Size Magazine. I was just on the cover of October, my birthday month. I'm excited. Listen, okay. No, but no, thank you for just letting me be a part of this. Y'all are some great people. I'm just an honor to actually be a part of this with you guys. I'm so excited for the Full Figure Industry Awards on Saturday. I'm still working on getting my dress. I'm so excited. So I guess my question to Miss Tawana is, what are you looking forward to, girl? And then what are you wearing is what I want to know. Is it a surprise?
I'm always looking for what Tiffany did not mention was Tiffany is also one of our red carpet hosts. I mean,
oh yeah,
and Kirklan didn't mention it either, so allow me to mention that.
Kirklan didn't say it either.
I did, and I forgot.
Everybody on this.
I'm also gonna see my face on Saturday too.
I like it. So back to your question. What am I looking forward to? Every year, I'm always looking forward to the speeches. People are always looking forward to the fashion. I'm always looking forward to those speeches, just hearing people's heartfelt speeches. Always, I'll be backstage crying. I do. And what am I wearing? What am I wearing? So my first dress is Sydney's Closet. Shout out to Sydney's Closet. And my second dress, I'm still undecided. I'm not gonna tell y'all.
If it's Kelly's Closet, so we know it's gonna show a little skin though.
No, it's
Sister's
not
closet,
Kelly's
honey.
closet.
Not Kelly.
Straight from the bedroom, straight
No.
out the bedroom into the award ceremony.
Can you imagine?
I would
My
love it. Yes,
goodness.
let's see it. Come on. Show us
I
a little
think
scale.
we would
My
like to
goodness.
We would like to see it.
Yeah.
show a little thigh.
Show a little thigh. Show a little sign.
No,
Hey.
Kelly's closet shows a lot more than thigh, honey.
Yes. And we can play Sexy Red when you come out too. You do all that.
I can't.
I'm out here with my daddy.
That's a whole different show, Tiffany.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm done behaving badly. I've done my part.
She's not, but that's okay. That's okay. We're going to come back around to you. Brieana Ofosu of Faith and Fashion 360. How are you?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. That was really good pronunciation, Gabby. I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Absolutely. I do my best to make sure that I give people's names the proper respect, and I'm glad I got it right. How are you?
Good,
Please introduce
good.
yourself and your outlet, and then go right into your question, my love.
For sure. So I'm Brieana Ofosu. I am a plus size model. I'm a radio show host. I'm a content creator. And I have a brand and radio show by the name of Faith and Fashion 360. That is a place that I created for millennials of faith who are into entrepreneurship, fashion, and everything in between. I'm really encouraging them, really bringing them to some of these events. So I've really championed myself within the past 2 years to be on location to some things, and it's afforded me really great opportunities, one of which is being the official media sponsor for the Full Figured Industry Awards. So I'm super excited to be here, super excited to meet all of you and just continue to network and be in plus size spaces, because we deserve this, and we're fabulous and we're fantastic, and we deserve to be on somebody's red carpet. So that's a little bit about me. So I do just want to say thank you, Tawana, for, all of these opportunities again, for creating these spaces for us, because it is definitely, it's needed. It's needed. So my question is, what is some of the work that you think is still needed to be done within our industry? We've done lots of work. There's been fantastic strides, but what are some things that you think could still be done?
Let me fix my glasses. So where do I start? I think the first place I want to start is, I think that we as an industry have to do a better job in supporting each other. I think we tend to support a lot of celebrities and other brands that are not really catered to us. But I think that once we start lifting each other up more, our voices will travel a lot further. It's almost like, you have you have kid, you're a parent and you have 5 kids. Like, you expect all your kids to just stick together. Everybody on the outside already know, don't mess with that family right there. So I consider, us to be a family, and people on the outside need to be able to look at us and say, no, don't mess with that group right there. Okay. They should not be able to find a missing link. So I think we should do a better job in supporting each other. And even if you cannot show up at somebody's event, you cannot support somebody monetary. We talk about this all the time. You don't have to spend money to support people. There are so many other ways to support people. So I just think that in terms of support, we have to do a better job in there. This whole life can be done around what I think we should do, but I think I'd rather spend my time really just applauding all of the things that we already do. But that part right there really just does strike a nerve with me, because I do see it out on social media. We always complain about support. So, just being able to show up for each other more, I think, is important.
I just to piggyback,
Awesome,
I
thank
know
you.
me personally, a lot of the struggle sometimes is access, right? And being introduced to those people to form that bond, and lives like this award shows in spaces like the FFIAs and even QSM, it provides that access, and I can speak firsthand for myself. So I thank you for that as well, because a lot of times it is sometimes the mindset, because for so long, you know, there's only one plus size of this or one plus size of that, but now you know that access sometimes is needed for creators and people, and thank you for providing that.
Agreed.
All right. Well, I love that. We actually had a really interesting question come in through the chat that I would like for Tawana to answer. This comes from Erica P. Quinn, editor in chief of City Girl magazine in Nashville. And the question is, could you share an instance where a particular FFIAS ceremony or recognition significantly impacted an individual or segment of the full figured industry, and what made that moment particularly poignant or special?
A particular person. I don't know the individual. You may have to ask them, but for me, I think probably being able to build relationships. So going back to one particular instance, right? And I'm going to talk about Sydney's Closet. I was introduced. I knew Sydney's Closet, but they came about. The connection with the full figure industry awards came about through Maddie, right? And since that connection, they've come back on as a sponsor. I mean, they've said that they love what we do so much. They're going to come back every year as a sponsor. And so I think with building relationships, once other brands see what we as an industry, and not me, we as an industry are doing with the Full Figure Industry Awards, I really feel like it's going to be one of the things that really brings this industry closer together. I hope I answered that question. Somebody made me laugh, but I hope I answered that question.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Thank you, Erica, for that question. Now, I want to get into some of the processes that we do. I'm on the production team and we go through a lot of things getting ready for the show. And one of the biggest questions is about nominations. Everybody has lots of questions about nominations. And so I want to start this round of questioning off actually with a question from one of our industry partners. Miss Tamara Ivy wrote into us before this live, and she asked this question, Tawana. She wants to know, what's your favorite category to select nominees for?
Whoa, you can't ask me that. I have too many friends. I can't pick a favorite. You asked me like to pick a favorite child. What is my favorite category? I'm not doing categories, but let's do this. My favorite part is probably the choosing the honorees. I hope that's sufficient enough for you. And the reason why for me that is special is because all of these nominees that we choose are all pioneers in this industry, and they are all. I am here because of all of them. So to be able to honor them, little old me, is fulfilling. So that is my favorite part.
Absolutely.
I'm not picking one category.
Off of that question, maybe not your favorite, but what was the hardest category to select nominees for?
Oh, it's always the models. It's always the models. There are too many models. And so when we started, it was we had male model, female model. And the problem with the male female models, right, is that you have the models who are just starting out going up against the models who's been doing this for like 15 years, right? And so that's why we had to cut it and make it two different model categories. And then of course you have the men and you have the women. So we have 4 different model categories. And that is the most difficult to do.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Agreed. So in that spirit, let's go around the room with the next round of questions. Iya, we'll start with you again.
Okay, so in that lane is, do you or will you adjust the categories with the times? As we move into this new age of tech and streaming, there are a new set of talents and groundbreakers emerging.
Child, Kirkland, my face exactly. So let me answer the question in two different parts. The first part, do we adjust with the times? Yes, we have started doing that. And going back to that model category that we were talking about. So with respecting people's gender identity, we remove the male and female from the categories. Now it's just plus model and big and tall models. So that was one of the things that we adjusted. In terms of other talent that is coming up, I don't know. I tell people, if there is a category that you feel that doesn't exist, that you feel like you belong in it, we can have a conversation and see if that's a category that we can add, or if there's another category that we can expand upon where your talent will fit into. I am open to having those conversations with the understanding that we're not going to have 100 categories.
Correct.
So hopefully that answered your question.
Yes.
Definitely. Jaffar?
My question to you, it has nothing to even do with the magazine nor the awards. My question to you is, doing everything that you're doing, what brings you happiness with everything that you do? Like what drives you? What brings you that happiness and that drive to do what you're doing and this stuff?
That is a great question. Excellent question. And this is probably very sad, but what brings me happiness is doing what I'm doing. I realized at a young age, I wanted to go into psychology for some reason. I just love to get into people's heads. I don't know why, but when I realized how much schooling costs, I was like, yeah, no, I can't afford to do that. So I learned what my purpose was in life at a young age. And I know that my purpose in life is to be able to help people in one way or another. I found the plus industry, the magazine arena, and the Full Figure Industry Awards. Like, this is what I love to do. And so I can do this all day, every day, and it makes me feel good. So if I go on vacation and I'm not doing any work, like I feel like I'm missing out on something. It's hard for me to have fun because I feel like I should be working on one of my babies. So it's like me just nurturing my kids to grow. I guess this is what brings me joy. Working brings me joy. I work in corporate HR outside of this as well. And I love doing that. So I love going to work. Some days I just want to leave early, but I like being able to help people, and that satisfies me.
Gotcha.
And I guess I probably should say spending time with my kids.
I guess.
Because if they see this and they be like, Mom, what about me? Like, yeah.
Beautiful. Kirklan, you're up.
Yeah.
You ain't living right, Tawana. Your kids come first.
I know. Well, they do. Well, every day. I do this for my kids.
Good comeback. I hope you did just hear this part when y'all cut it up and edit. Just hear this part. But my question is, it's kind of related, but not. So this is partly because I listen to a lot of celebrities talk about like what their end of day is like. And so it just prompted me to think, like, you've been planning this award show for months. I'm assuming that because I know you didn't just put it together in 2 weeks. So what I want to know is when the awards is done, when the doors are closed and everybody is gone, what's the first thing you do?
I think most of the time I cry. Honestly, because that is over. Um,
Good
I
tears
do.
or uh, tears? Which one?
It's probably a little bit of column A, a little bit of column
Okay,
B.
that's fair. I mean, it's you know, it's a journey.
But I have honestly, at the end of every show, I have cried. And it's like it's a release that is over. Who because there's always these, as a producer, right, there's always these fears that, oh my god, something is going to go wrong, and something always goes wrong, right? And then how am I going to come back from it? Is something going to happen today that I'm not going to be able to come back from? Like, there's a whole lot of worries that happen the day of, that I probably don't share. And this is probably the first time I'm sharing it with everybody, but that's what goes on in my mind the day of, which is why people say, people look at Phil, right? Yeah, I know Phil, my business partner. People look at Phil and people be like, God damn, he's mean, right? But Phil's purpose the day of is to make sure that I don't start crying. That's what he does. So when you see Phil walking around and he got that face on, like, just Phil, who was it? Just, but I do that to answer your question. I do cry. That's the first thing after the show is over.
Okay, then I got a part two. What's the first thing you eat?
BBQs, honey. Y'all already know after the show is over, we go right after, well, after we clean up, we go right to BBQs up the block. That's what happens.
I love it. Absolutely. Maddie, you're up.
Alrighty, so I'm going to bring it back to the topic. So when it comes to being clear and transparent, I feel like a lot of people, unless they're on these lives, unless they're really watching and being, and on these lives for a long period of time, they're not going to know exactly. They might have missed the beginning of this. Talk about the transparency and the fairness of choosing the categories and how people, get nominated. Because I think that, for instance, people are like, how do they nominate for me? This is what people ask me. And I'm like, you need to go and ask Tawana, the team. This has nothing to do with me. I'm just a co-host. That's my only part in this. I just have to stay upright and not pass out and not get yelled at by Philip. That's my job. So talk about the actual nomination process. Who nominates people and how do you get nominated and what happens after that, and how do you make sure that it's fair and transparent? I know that sometimes people get nominated for a certain category and then you're like, wait a minute, but do they fit that category? Maybe they should be into this category. So can you talk about that a little bit?
I can. So, Gabby, is this a good part to go into answer both? Okay. So we'll talk about how it's been, how the nomination process has been up until this point. And then afterwards, I'm going to tell you how it's going to be going forward. First of all, if anybody on this live is a part of, whether you are attending, you're a nominee, you're an honoree, if you receive emails from me, you know that I'm very transparent. I overshare. I send multiple emails to people. And if you don't respond, I'm going to send a follow-up and say, hey, did you get this? Because I want to know that people understand what is happening. So the nomination process goes like this. We we have a set of guidelines for each category. Those guidelines are written on the ballot, and it is also on our website, 2 different places. What I know that people do is people do not read the guidelines. They just put a name there. But the guidelines are there before you put the name. So full transparency, we put the guidelines, how long you have to be doing what you're doing, Whether you have to have a website or a social media page, regardless of what it is, there is one A, B, C, D. Do you fit this category? If you do, or if they do, then you will nominate them. Once that nomination process is over, it goes to our committee. The committee has to sit and go through each and every hundreds of nominations. And then we have to vet people based on the criteria. Do they meet this criteria? Now, these hundreds of people, okay? One by one, the committee has to go through and check. Do they meet this criteria? Check, check, check. If you do not, you get removed. So if someone says, hey, I nominated you for this, and you did not fit in that category, we're not going to take you and put you in the category that you belong to. That nomination is gone. Okay? Once that is over and we have our, I guess, whatever, top whatever, everybody that fits this this category, we go for the voting. There is public voting, and then there is committee voting. So the public voting is the public vote, and I think it's like the top 7. I think we did 8 this year. Top 8 votes goes in front of the committee. Then the committee vote on those top 8. The committee don't know who each other are because we do not want the committee to have a conversation and be like, who you voting for, girl? Who you voting for, guy? So even the committee don't know each other. So it's secret votes. It goes into, once the votes are calculated, then we choose, or I choose, because honestly and truly, I'm the only one that knows who wins. No one else on my team, well, Phil, because he has to do the presentation, but besides the 2 of us, nobody knows who wins. Gabby does not know who won the categories. It's between me, Phil, and the company that I ordered the trophies from. No one else knows. Everybody finds out the day of. So that's how the nomination and the voting process works. Going forward, after this year is over, the process is going to be, we're not going to allow people to nominate other people. Everybody's going to have to nominate themselves. This way, you nominate yourself in the category that you know you belong in, and your fate is not in somebody else's hands, that they put you in a makeup artist category and you are really a model who have done a couple of people's faces, right? So it's up to you. You're going to get the guidelines of what you have to submit to us. We are not basing the criteria on your whole entire career. We are basing on what we asked you to submit to us. So just for instance, if you are, I always say model because model is the most popular category, right? So I'm not saying this is how it's going to go. I'm just saying, for example, if you are a model, we may ask you, hey, submit to us the top 5 campaigns that you have been a part of. When you go up for voting, that is what you're going to be voted on. You're not going to be voted on what you did in your whole entire career. And the reason why we don't do that is because people don't update their websites. There's a lot of stuff that people don't do that's not out in the public. So people tend to get that, like, oh, I was in this campaign, but it's not on your website. It's not on your social media. We don't know that that exists. So you have to tell us that that exists. And that is what you are going to be voting on. That's what our process is going to be going forward.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. That was really enlightening.
You're welcome.
Now, in that vein, does anybody have any follow-up questions related to that upcoming process change? All right.
Okay, then that must have been clear enough.
It was very clear.
Yeah, and so it will be completely transparent. Once this is over and we really build that out, we'll put it on our website. If you guys are not following us on our website, there's a lot of stuff on that website that people don't read. So make sure you are following us on social media as well. We're going to do more lives to talk about after this is over. We're going to do more lives to talk about that process. But I really do encourage people to really follow us. When I say follow, I don't mean hit the follow button. I mean really follow and see what information that we are putting out. Because I don't want nobody to say, well, I did not know that. You didn't know because you didn't read it. Everything that we do, we pretty much put on our website. We're one of those people that will update our website all the time.
Absolutely. Go to the website. Go to the website, theffias.com, THEFFIAS.com. Every question that you have, we've probably already answered it on the website. Please go to the website.
On the website, there's even an FAQ on there. Because people ask us these same questions over and over again. So what we did, we just put it on the website.
Now, I actually want to call on you, and I'm sorry to call you out of turn, but you had an interesting question that sort of goes into the vein of what we're talking about in terms of nominees, and talking about what do we look for as far as success goes. And I'd like for you to ask that question while we're in this topic, if you're okay with that.
I will, but I believe Tawana answered it in the beginning. The one where everyone's version of success is different, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Everyone's version of success is different. What do you look for as far as success goes when considering a nominee, or is it solely based on recommendations from others?
You wanted me to answer that one again, Gabby?
Yeah, so what I wanted you to do was talk about some of the things that make a successful nominee, what makes a successful nomination package now versus what will make one later.
Well, now, so the guidelines, let's just say it's not really a story per se. It's the guidelines are, the criteria is there, A, B, C, D. It's, do you meet this criteria? Have you been modeling? I keep going back to modeling, y'all. Let's go to photographer. Okay. Have you been a photographer for at least 7 years, right? Or we'll go to the boutiques, because there are boutiques who service both plus and straight size, right? So one of the criteria for the boutique is, for if you consider yourself a plus boutique, at least 65% of your boutique has to be plus size, right? You can't just have 5 things on there that's plus size and then think that you're going to get nominated for this particular category. So it's, the criteria is there. Do you meet the criteria? That's what it is. It's not really a success story, because I think, most people are successful. And so if we did it based on somebody's success story, we'll never be able to get, final nominees. So it's criteria based.
Absolutely. And, just speaking from going through some of these nominations, making sure you have all of the information that is asked for, whether it's nominating someone else versus nominating yourself, reading the instructions, following directions, making sure that you have everything spelled out. It makes the job a lot easier to verify that you are where you are supposed to be. Right. And that will be true whether it's nominating others or nominating yourself. Read the directions, follow instructions, submit the things that we tell you to submit, for sure.
It's the following instructions for me, though.
Absolutely.
Because I find that a lot of people, when I look at some of the people that are like, we have people who will go in and fill out the form and nominate, let's just say Maddie, because Maddie's name came to my mind first. We have 12 different categories. Somebody will go in and literally nominate Maddie for every single last category, right? And so what you did was you just did Maddie a disservice, because we are not going to sit there and pick and choose. Oh, Maddie don't belong in this one. Maybe she belongs in this one. We're not doing that. So that whole ballot is disqualified. Don't give us that much work to do. You can't leave it to us to figure out where a person might belong, because that's just not fair, especially since we have hundreds of people that we have to go through. I tend to remove myself. I don't vote. All I do, I am part of the process where we have to vet people. Do people meet this criteria? Other than that, I remove myself from the process. I know and like too many people. When I get the winners, I literally go through the winner's name and be like, my friend didn't win. I do it. But that's not my job. My job is not to pick a winner. My job is to put your name on a trophy. And that's what I do. And so for people who say, oh, thank you, FFIAs, for my nomination, you're welcome, but we didn't nominate you.
Correct. Absolutely. Good stuff. Lady T, you are up.
I see her lips moving, but you muted, sis.
Trying to unmute. I can see it now. That was the wrong button, Tiff.
That was the wrong button, Tiff.
Almost there.
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute.
Press the wrong button. So while she's trying to figure that out, I do want to say this, right? Because I feel like everybody kind of went through who they are, and everybody on this team kind of just plays a big role in the Full Figure Industry Awards. Maddie already told you that she is co-host right along with Reggie. Kirklan and Lady T are 2 of our 4 red carpet hosts because we have 2 red carpets this year. Jaffar is one of our media sponsors and photographers. Iya is one of our media sponsors, along with her other company, Snapscene, who is also sponsoring. Brieana is also one of our media sponsors. So everybody, oh, and Gabby, I know Gabby is part of the Taint production team. I can't forget you. So, just saying, thank you to everybody. Thank you for being a part of the team. And now that I see Nathaniel join, Nathaniel and Leah are actually the other 2 that are going to be on one of our red carpets as well. So,
Absolutely.
Lady T, you got that figured out?
Speak.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, go ahead, Tiff.
I did. Oh, my bad. Okay, sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Okay, so my question to Tawana is about the location. So I am originally from Queens, raised there for at least a decade, okay? Jamaica Avenue, Jamaica, New York, 11435. Shout out to them. What made you do the Full Figure Industry Award, the FFIAs, at the Jamaica Performing Arts Center? I just was so curious as to the location and why. Because, you're bringing me back home, which is fantastic. But was there any significance to that?
So, funny story. I used to work in Manhattan, and I used to take the train right in front of Jamaica Performing Arts, the rear, where the E train is on Archer Avenue. I used to get on the train every day and never knew what that building was. So how I found that building is I was on social media one day when we were looking for venues for the Full Figure Industry Awards. And somebody had put up a post that they had an event there. And I was like, oh, that building is nice. Where is that? And I did the research. I was like, oh, snap, that's on Jamaica Avenue. And so I made an appointment to go visit there, and the rest is history. Funny.
Yeah, I've never been there either. I lived there for so long, and I've never been there. So I thought that was so interesting. I was like, okay, all right, Tawana. You showing out a little bit. I see you.
Yeah. That's that story.
Brieana, you are up next.
So one of the things that I wanted to ask, and we'll probably all get a chuckle out of it, but I honestly, it's so commendable, You are such a well-oiled machine. You are detailed, you are organized, you are communicative, you are there's some things that just are not going to slide. How did you get to a point where you kind of set those boundaries and, kind of put those things in place? What was that process like for you to get here? I'm serious.
So
Like,
first of all,
you're no joke. You are no joke. And it's really good to see, because sometimes we have businesses and we do things, and we have stepped a lot in some of the things that we do. And I've never seen that within the FFIAs production or Queen Size Magazine production. So I will say that.
thank you. So here's the thing, right? And I know some people are gonna roll their eyes when I say this, right? I'm a Virgo. And so by nature, there we go. And so by nature, we are one of the I stop hating. One of the traits of a Virgo is we are perfectionists, right? And so I just like things to be in order. You guys have conversations with me. I am very well, I'm very detailed in terms of what I want and how I want it, right? And so Jaffar is sitting there shaking his head because he already knows this, right? And so I don't like to go into situations where I don't know what is happening. I need to know what is happening and how it is happening. And so that is one of the things that just really bother me. So if I'm going to produce an event, like I have to know, I have to be in control of everything. So my team knows. They know this about me. If you have a conversation with anybody about my show outside of me, I'm gonna need you to come back and tell me what that conversation was, right? Because if it affects the show in any way, whether you think it does or you think it might not, like I need to know. Because one thing I don't like is the day of. I don't like surprises the day of. Like I need everything to go the way I planned it. And I have backup plans for if it doesn't go this way, but there's always that, the floor will cave in type thing. So what do? You learn to fly. But that's just me. I just have to be. And then working with Phil. Phil is a Libra. And Libras are I'm not going to get into the whole horoscope thing, but this is the thing that I know about people. Libras put your hands down, Tiffany. Libras are very detailed oriented, like down to the littlest thing. And so for me, being a perfectionist and working with Phil, who is very detailed, it's like I can't do things 10% or even 90% because he's going to question me about the other 10%. And so for me, when I go to Phil about an idea and I say, hey, Phil, I want to do this, I already know he's going to ask me 150 questions. So before I go to him, let me make sure I have all these questions answered. When I send out, and that's how I send out my emails. Y'all got my emails. When I tell you my emails are just very detailed, it's very detailed. When I say we're going to start this show at 4:00, we are starting this show at 4:00. I don't want anybody to think that this show is starting at 4:30, because you got that completely wrong. Do not show up at 4:30 and think, oh, they're not going to start on time anyway. That is not the truth. Not here. Somewhere else maybe, but not here. And so that's just me. I think I'm just too much of a perfectionist. But if you come into my bedroom, I'll mess. A mess. But everything else in my life is just very, very organized. And that's just, I don't like to be stressed out. I'm migraine prone. So stress is a trigger for me. I don't like to be stressed out. So anything that I feel that's going to stress me out, I avoid it at all costs. And that's just me.
In that same vein, we got an audience question. What time shall we arrive, from Amber Bonet? Do you want to answer that, about what time we shall arrive?
Amber Bonet, who's we though? Are you, Amber? what part of the show are you in? Are you a guest? Are you an honorary? So then I can tell you, because everybody have different times. So just to answer this question,
Through
if
all of
you, my team have their call times, but if you are a nominee, an honoree, presenter, or sponsor, you need to show up at the time I gave you. If you didn't get an email from me that you had to show up before 3 o'clock, then you show up at 3 o'clock. Check-in is at 3 o'clock. Check-in for general admission starts at 3 o'clock. Why? Because the show starts at what time? 4 o'clock. So when you come to check in, don't be out in front trying to mingle and stuff. Say hi, take your picture, and get to your seat because we're starting at 4 o'clock. Hope that answers your question. I have to really stress that start time because people ask, and I've noticed people have said to me, oh, people want to know what time we should show up. Everybody who got registered online got an email that told you yesterday. That email actually went out yesterday that told you what time doors open for check-in and what time the show starts.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that part.
Now we are going to go back around the room and do some quick fire questions, but there's one more audience question that I think is interesting that I would like for you to address. And this is again from Erica Quinn, editor-in-chief of City Girl Magazine Nashville. And the question is, what do you hope the legacy of the Full Figured Industry Awards will be? And what impact do you aim to leave on the entertainment industry and society as a whole?
Come on, Erica, with City Girl Magazine in Nashville with your good questions. So let's start with, because I gotta read. What impact do I aim to leave on the industry? So I want people to know that we celebrate each other. I want people to know that there are some incredibly talented and gifted individuals in this plus industry. That's what I want people to know. I want people to get it into their heads. There are multiple platforms for us, and we're going to build more. Hold on. Oh, society, all the same question. So the legacy of the Full Figure Industry Awards, my goal is this will be televised. I want the Full Figure Industry Awards to be a part of the official award season. That's what I want. Because we deserve it. I don't know how we're going to get there, but we're going to get there. Together, we're going to get there.
Yes, we are. I love that. I love that. Collaboration for sure. Now, I want to go back to our panel. We're not going to go round robin. I just want you all to do some quick fire questions. Make it something impactful. Tawana, you can of course take as long as you like. But in the interest of time, making sure we can get around to everyone, sort of answer the question as concise as you can. If we have follow-up questions, you are welcome to do that. But just want to get as many topics in as we can. So whoever wants to start, go ahead.
You're going to have to call people out, sis.
I got to call you out.
Like, honey, that's how I am. That's how I am. Like, that whole anybody want to start? No.
I didn't want to keep going to Iya first, but she's had such wonderful questions. But
so go backwards.
So she's ready. Let's go, Iya.
One thing with a production this large, and even in my own experiences, and seeing how you and your team operate, do you have any tips or any takeaways as to the value of a team, and how do you how do you know what's the right fit to be successful? Because one person can't do it all.
So I think I like to work with people on projects And I think you and I talked about this before, right? I like to work with people on projects who have just as much to lose if this goes wrong as I do. So people that come onto your team that have nothing to lose are more than likely not going to give you 100% because they have nothing to lose. You're going to lose it all. So for me, if you look at the people on my team who are a part of this production, they all are professionals in the industry, right? And so if the Full Figure Industry Awards goes flop, they're going to look at a lot of them like, wait a minute, you know? So I think in terms of building a team, that's like a number one for me. It has to be, you have to have just as much to lose as I do. And what was the second part of your question? Sorry.
Oh, it was just more so like how do you, along the lines of, because I don't even remember either, like highlighting and appreciating that team, because if it's one thing I know firsthand is the value of a good team, and from what I see, it's real solid people on your side. So I just wanted to take some time to clap that up.
Thank you. And I think it's transparency too, because in full transparency, I will tell you this. We are in year 4, right? And so I put out a lot to produce this event. And so all of my team members, I have this conversation with them, right? We may not be in the black after this is over, right? And so I need to know that you're not going to come, you're not joining this just for a paycheck. I don't want somebody on my team who's just joining it for a paycheck, because what if we don't make any money, right? So that's why I refer to my team as my partners, even the volunteers. Volunteers are extremely important with a production, and I treat them just as good as I treat a co-producer, because we are all part of the same team. Right. So yeah, respect, transparency is key for me.
Okay, thank you for that.
Kirklan, you want to go?
So what came to mind, as someone who has considered doing events before, one of the things that stopped me right before I even got started, and probably I shouldn't even be thinking about this, but like ticket pricing. So how do you determine ticket pricing for the event?
Child. So all things considered, I want to at least cover the price of the venue, right? At the very least. And then I think about what I would pay if I wanted to go to this event. So it gets tricky, and then comparing my ticket prices to other events. What are other people charging to? I don't charge what I don't want to pay, and that's pretty much it. It's tough though. It's hard because what I can afford, somebody else might not be able to afford. Which is when we put the early bird tickets out, I guess that would be considered like our economic prices, you know what I mean? So I do urge people to jump on those when we do the early bird specials. But just being transparent as well. I tell people, if you want to come and you can't absolutely and positively afford to come, even if we give you 6 months to pay for it, have a conversation, because I'm more concerned with filling seats than I am with making money, and that's the 100% truth. Because I want people to experience the Full Figure Industry Awards. Now, that doesn't mean all y'all email me and be like, hey, can I get a free ticket? Okay.
Because you know what's coming next.
Right. But yeah.
Awesome. Maddie?
Okay, so I've said this before. I can't plan. I'm really good at certain things. I cannot plan my daughter's birthday party. I suck. what are your tips for people that are really interested in putting an event together? Like Kirklan said, sometimes things, happen and, I stopped before I even started. What have you learned in the 4 years that you can offer to people that are interested in putting, an event together?
Number one for me is don't produce something that you can't afford. You cannot depend on sponsorship, because if you don't get those sponsorships, then what are you going to do? Cancel your event? So for me, is make sure it's within your budget to produce whatever it is that you're producing, whether it be a birthday party or a major event. Make sure you can cover the cost of it, and you are not going to go broke. I'm not losing my house for an award show. So everything fits within my budget. I set a budget for what I can afford to pay, and that's how I produce the show. I get sponsors, which I have, thankfully, where I can make that money, and they can help cover the cost. But at the end of the day, if you don't get those sponsorships, what are you going to do? Right. So that would be my advice. Make sure what you are producing is within your means.
That was great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jaffar?
I had the question. Maddie done took it out my mouth.
No!
I was ready to go. Now I'm gonna have a question. Damn, Maddie, I love you anyway. But yeah, I really don't have a question. She took that. That was juicy. I was ready. I was like, you know what? What's the tips? Ain't nobody said it. Now I'm just throwing. But look, to add on to that question, like, let's just say somebody wanted to start a magazine because maybe they feel that the awards thing is a lot of work, because it seems like a whole lot of work. What are some of the steps that you would tell somebody that, because everybody's watching you. They watch you. They watch your movements. They see what you're doing, and etc. What tips would you give those that want to start a magazine like yours?
So I will share what I've learned along the way. And I've shared this story on several occasions, and I'm going to stick to it. So if you're going to start a publication, right, you're not going to know everything, but you have to, at the very least, know the basics of starting a publication. Networking is key. When I first started, I'm still an introvert. I get nervous when I have to talk to people. True story. But I had to learn to kind of get out of that. No one is going to know who you are if you don't tell them who you are, right? And if you don't show them who you are. And the other thing is the magazine itself. I like to write. So I'm always like contingencies. If you start a publication, you need writers, right? What if you don't get writers? What are you going to do? Not put out a magazine? So guess what? That has to fall on you. You have to learn how to write. You got to learn how to write. One of the things that I learned, I have to learn to communicate with my photographer, and that's being able to speak the language that they speak, because it's a whole nother language. Okay. Phil has cussed me out 100 times over because I cannot explain to him what I don't like about a picture, right? And so class was in session. You have to learn. You have to learn to be able to tell me what it is that you want and what you like. Makeup artist. I can do basic makeup on my face. I know enough to speak the language to a makeup artist now, because I didn't before. So if you are like Maddie knows, if you are on set and the makeup artist look at you and say, what is it that you're looking for? You can't say, I don't know. You have to be able to speak that language. So owning a publication is more than just putting out a magazine every month. You have to know how to communicate with people. You have to know how to build a team. You have to know how to network with businesses. You have to know email etiquette. Wait, let me say that again. You have to know email etiquette. You have to know when to respond to emails. You have to know what to say in emails. Like you have to be business minded. So there's a lot that goes with putting out a publication. And this live will probably be 15 hours long if I go into everything. But don't just wake up one day and look at somebody's publication and be like, oh, I can do that better. There's a lot to learn. And since somebody said, Shauna, yes, you have to know your audience too, right? One of the things that I learned when I first met Maddie, right? I was doing queen size, right? But I had just came out. I'm learning, and thank you, Maddie, for always just being able to have that conversation with me, is you have to also know who your audience is, right? Because my audience is not necessarily the same as Maddie's audience. Yeah, we may overlap with certain audiences, but you have to know who your target audience is and what it is that they want, and give them what they want. It's not about what you want. I'm not a trend girl. I don't really follow trends, but I know with the publication I have to. So it's not about what I want all the time. It's about what my audience wants. And in order to give your audience what they want, you have to know who your audience is and what they want. Talk to your audience. I was not on Instagram for a long time because I was like, I don't like his Instagram. I don't want to get on that. But you run a publication, you have to be on Instagram. Okay. Shout out to Sheena, because thank you, Sheena. But and if it's something that you don't really want to do all the time, you have to know how to do it. You hire somebody to do it. But there's a lot that goes into a publication. So that's my advice. Really have conversations with people who own publications and see if you want to do it. I have had these consultations with people who came to me and said, I wanted to start a publication. And at the end of that conversation, he was like, never mind. Because I'm honest, I'm transparent. If you're not willing to do all these things, you're not going to last. 12 years in putting out a magazine, and I'm still learning every day.
Facts. Okay.
Absolutely.
So here's the thing. I want Maddie to piggyback off of that, because y'all ask me the questions about magazines, but Maddie as well. Even I in Kirklan as well. Everybody actually on here has a publication of some sort. So, I mean, y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it's like.
I think you hit it on the nail, Tawana. I think you have to love what you said before. You have to really love what you do. I remember my husband asking me one day, like, what do you do for fun? You're always working. And I'm like, I don't feel like I don't have fun. I mean, I obviously, have a lot of things going on, but I love what I do. Like literally what you said early on, that's me. If I'm not working, if I'm not doing something, if I'm on vacation, but I'm not checking in or doing, I just feel incomplete, because I feel like my calling is living in service of this industry. Yeah. So every time that I speak to someone, every time that I try to open up a door, and I don't post everything I've put plenty of money in people's pockets, not mine. This is broke, but I put a lot of money in other people's pockets gladly. It brings me joy because this is my life. I live in service of this industry, of us, of our unity, of who we are. Who we were 20 years ago and who we are today is completely different, because people have taken up the torch like you have, like you have, like you have. You know what I mean? Like, because collectively we've done that, we're in a completely different space. But the publication industry is really difficult, and you kind of have to go with the flow. In the very beginning, it was just about the models, but now it's not just about the models. It's the brands, it's the influencers, the bloggers. It's so different than it was like 20 years ago. I mean, we didn't even have, Facebook, and Instagram when I first started. Like, it was like forums. Like, it was crazy back then. But it's so much easier for us to be able to communicate now. Now we just have to kind of foster those communications and those relationships with people. That's one of the things that I feel like, even though you say you're an introvert, you're really good at bringing in people. You have a very soft voice, a really great way. People respect you because you demand that respect, even with your soft voice, because you're passionate about what you do. And I think that that's one of the most important things you have to have in order to have a publication, honestly.
Thank you. Gabby's sitting there like, yep. She's just taking it all in like, yep.
Listen, I'm always picking up gems. Who wants to answer that question next? We've got some heavy hitters on this call.
I think the writing portion, to me, was something I did not know, and I'm gonna piggyback on that writing portion. Because when I first started, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have this magazine and I'm gonna put out these monthly issues. And then I think I hired, well, I didn't hire, I don't know what you want to call them, but I enlisted 2 writers. And then it was writing day, and then no one showed up. And I was like, so I gotta write 12 articles to put in the magazine. You know what? I quit. I don't want to do this no more. Like, writing's not my thing. I've never been into it, and I don't approve. Yeah, that's not.
Writing is my struggle also. Video, audio, that's my preferred method of communication. I literally write how I speak. And Toya's like, Aya, your is not a word. There shouldn't be that many dots. There's 3. So the markups be looking crazy. So for me, and there are times, like everybody has said, where you're like, oh my God, I have to write 6 articles, and then conforming, because that's not how I naturally speak. That's not my natural tone. So for me, we have pivoted to more video and audio, because that's just what comes natural. That's just what comes more natural to me, I would say. But it's the struggle. It's the struggle. And Tawana, I told you, when I read your words, I was like, who is she talking about? Is this like what? Where you know what I'm saying? What? And it's difficult. It's difficult for me. So, and your is officially in the dictionary now. But
Yes, it is. You're right.
I didn't want to give her your though.
I'm big on using y'all. I use y'all a lot.
Jaffar.
Oh my God. She got me laughing. Nah, but I must say that, for so many years of me doing what I do with the magazine and stuff, me meeting Tawana was a good thing, because I learned a lot that you always learning something new regardless. And, so I just learned a lot from her, and I took it all in and stuff. But she's very thorough, I must say. Too thorough, because that shit be on my, like, oh my gosh, here we go. It just, I promise you. See, I haven't met all of y'all. Maddie, I know for a little minute, but I don't know her like I know T. But I can imagine how these two are. So it's just, I get it. Kudos. But yeah, she's very thorough. So I learned a lot, and I must say, like, when I started doing this years ago, dealing with Video Vixen and trying to transform when plus size wasn't, it was still a war between plus size and BBW back then, and it was a lot going on that wasn't accepted and stuff. So that whole transformation was kind of hard, because a lot of women didn't want to come out, to show that confidence, to show that grace of a plus size and stuff like that. And then a lot of them don't even know the difference between them all, because they just run with titles and names. So it's good that people like Tawana and Maddie's out there that's been doing this, and people seeing this connection that they have, because this should show you that people can work together. That's different. That's not even, she's doing this, she's doing that, but they work together. It's like, how y'all don't get it? You know what I mean? So I'm glad that people can see this and stuff like that. But they need people like y'all too, because I promise you, y'all are something else. I must say, I am learning. Yes, I am learning.
And that's why I said earlier in the live that it's about access, and even just the short span of time working with Tawana, the door has opened for Shapely, and I feel like people are taking us like more seriously now, and it's the introduction to like-minded individuals that isn't about like objectifying us. you know, it's a business, not just here's this body and this you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So a lot of times, like he said, it's really about access sometimes, and I'm forever thankful.
Thank you. I agree. So when I first came into this industry, I didn't have access to a lot of people. It could be a mix of me just not wanting to talk to people and people not wanting to share information, but I'm never that person that will not share information. If I know it, I'm happy to share with you. Now, I'm not going to give you my blueprint because it's mine, but I'll give you the basics to get started. And if you have questions, like I'm always available to talk to people.
I feel like you could teach somebody how to play, but you don't have to give them your playbook.
That's true.
Right? And
that's true. And you're not gonna beat me.
Yeah,
you're not gonna beat me. I can teach you how to play spades, but you're not gonna beat me in spades.
Right. So that's for our comparison.
And if I could piggyback off what you just said, one of the reasons why unity and support is so important is because not everyone in this industry is truly a plus size advocate. They may say it, it may look like it, the brand may kind of seem like it, but not everybody's here for us. And I'm going to say that straight up. And I always say that. Don't ever think that everybody in this industry is actually for us. They're for brands, they're for money, they're for an aesthetic. And you know what? I don't fit anybody's aesthetic. That's why I am still here 20 some odd years later, because I'm never part of the, that elite group, that popular group. I don't want to be nobody's popular group. I want to be where the people are. That's my journey. That's where I'm supposed to be. So when you're doing it, when you're talking about access, think about the people that are around you and never be afraid to ask. Because if you don't ask, me and Tawana were in at Full Figure Fashion Week. And after one of the panels that we were on, we sat there for like an hour having a chat and talking. And she was asking me questions. I'm like, bet, do this. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what we're supposed to do. That's how we move forward. Not reaching out to people that don't want to be part of us. Those people don't need to be part of this. Those people do not need to be celebrated because they're just jumping on a clickbait, on a plus size hashtag over whatever, and they're gaining their money, their success or whatever, but are they here for us? Do they know us? Will they show up for us like Zach has, how Miguel has? These are guys that are making so much money. I mean, so many people that have done so many things, great things in this industry show up. Those are the people that we need to be applauding and supporting throughout because they're supporting us. They're in here with us. And that means a lot to me. Just looking in, that means a lot to me because that means that their success is fantastic and they're doing really great things, but they're here with us. They're sitting in our seats next to us.
Right.
Thank you so much for love it.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, I'm good. For real.
Absolutely. I don't know what else can be said after that.
I'm like,
mic drop. Yeah.
Folks, we came, we saw, we conquered.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go from there. Actually, there is one partner question that we got in advance that I do want to ask Tawana. And what I also want to do after she answers is I want all of you to answer this question. This question comes from Stacy McMillan. She is Miss Full Figure USA New York 2023, and she is also one of our presenters on Saturday. And she wanted to know, what advice would you give the younger version of yourself in this industry?
Wow. Wow. Okay. How young are we talking? We talking about 8-year-old or 18-year-old, Tawana? Okay.
Both.
All right. So, what advice would I give myself, my younger self, is girl, learn some patience. Yeah, that's a good question. Why you didn't send me that question in advance? I needed time to think about that. But I think I think the advice I would give myself is several things. One is absolutely learn some patience, seriously. And two, it's okay to hear no, right? I've heard no a lot of times and have gotten discouraged and have walked away when I probably should have been a little bit more persistent. Um, I would also tell myself, don't be afraid to succeed. I was afraid to succeed for a long time, and which is why I did not attempt. Maybe I took a long time because, especially with the Full Figure Industry Awards, I talk about this a lot. I sat on the idea for a long time. I really did. It was probably about a good 5 years that I presented this. I'll never forget. I was in Pennsylvania in my cousin's house before he got furniture. Me, my cousin Corey, Phil, and Nicole France at the time, she was my assistant, sitting on the floor, and I presented this idea to them. That was a long time ago. So, yeah, don't be afraid to succeed. I can tell myself a lot of things, my younger version, a lot of things, but I'm gonna stick that and move on to somebody else.
I love that. Jaffar, I'm gonna call on you next.
Yes. You muted though. I'm sure it was a great answer too, but you still muted. You still muted.
Muted.
Yeah, honey, you still muted. That answer sounds really good.
It's not working for you.
Press the button again, honey.
Oh, there you go.
You're pulling a Tiffany. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. You know what? We're gonna go back to you, Kirklan. Can you tell me what advice you would give to your younger self?
Oh, first of all, the fear of success is I'm stealing yours, but I'm really gonna dive into the fear of success.
Come on, dive in, honey.
Fear of failing is one thing that I've never had, but that because I've been failing, if we're being honest, I've failed my whole life at every single thing I've done. And I've come to love failure because every time I failed, I learned what not to do and how to do it better, how to do it quicker, faster, more efficient. So I actually love failing. Succeeding is where I'm struggling, let me tell you. So I would say to my younger self, it's okay to be more successful than you are at failing. It's okay. I was one of those people who had gotten so accustomed to failure that it's where I thrived. And I thrived in it so long that I overstayed my welcome way too long. And I also, too, had the idea for Excel Tribe. I would say maybe 4 years before its inception. And I thought to myself, you're never going to succeed. Who's going to come to your little website? People don't even want to see big bodies anyway. All they're going to do is make fun of you and call you fat anyway. Who you think you is, you're not worth it. All of that. So I would tell my younger self, put that magazine out. Let them call you fat. You know what they calling you fat on? Your website. You know what they telling you ain't good at? On your website. Do it.
I love it. I love that. That was everything.
Jaffar,
you know where they're doing it? On your website.
I don't know. Y'all can hear me.
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I would tell my younger self to believe more. Just I didn't believe a lot that I can do this, even though people always say, yeah, you can do it, or so I think it was more slow down, take your time, don't rush, because I rushed a lot of my life, you know what I mean? So I would say just slow down and just believe more, and trust more. It's hard to trust. So, it's just all those things I would tell my younger self. Facts.
Beautiful. Iya?
I'm trying not to cry.
Right.
I would say keep going. I don't come from a strong, supportive, familial environment. Growing up, like, my friends became more of my family than anything. And also my access was limited. So there was a lot of things I did alone. And that's how I harped on it in this live, but y'all just don't understand. Like, I would tell my younger self to keep going because there's a world of strangers just waiting to support you. Both my brands were built on the back of myself. Thankfully later, like, my mom was there to help me, but it's total strangers. It's people like Tawana and just people like you would never know. People hate social media, but I love it because it gave me community. And then you meet those people in real life, and it fosters community. Sometimes I get upset that I don't have such a large following to execute certain things, or just a larger circle of people to call upon. But what I really like is that the small cluster that I do are actionable people. So I would tell my younger self, like, not to give up, because there's a whole community of people waiting to support you.
That's right.
Girl, I'm sitting here just trying not to cry.
That's right. And
Wow.
we're so glad to know you. We're so glad to find you.
Wow.
Beautiful. Maddie?
You got a
I just
friend,
want-
girl. You got a friend.
That's right. I'm sending you big hugs. And when I see you, I'm going to give you a big, juicy Latina hug.
Absolutely.
I think I would tell myself that I am enough. I think growing up, I grew up in a very strict Pentecostal home, and that added to being a big person. Just kind of, you feel kind of scrutinized because you're big, then you can't wear pants and you can't wear makeup. And there's a whole other side of, growing up and your grandfather's a minister and you're his first grandchild. So there was a whole lot going on for me. So you kind of grow up a little bit like, oh my God, you have to meet all these expectations. You never feel like you're enough. And, for me being in this industry, I wasn't, Latina looking enough. I'm not this, I'm not that. And then I'm big and I'm this and I'm loud. And people couldn't take me in the beginning. I've been thrown out. Just to give you a little example of access, I got access at some point, when we first started, the first 5 or 6 years, let's say, I got thrown out of that access. You know why I got thrown out of meetings by big head people? Because of this mouth, because I stood up for us, because I said, we are enough, we are good, and exactly who we are. I don't have to change who I am, and I have a voice, and you should be catering to me. I am the customer. Because I said those things, I got thrown out of meetings. I got blacklisted. I had an entire email sent out to all of Ford Brazil, Ford Argentina, because the head guy was like, nobody allow any bookings from Plus Model Magazine. You want to talk about a sucker punch? That was a sucker punch to me. I cried and cried, and my business partner was like, it's okay, because you stood up for what you believe in. And look, I am still here today. So have I got thrown out? Yes. Have I had those really bad moments? Have I felt like, oh my God, I don't have access, especially when I'm getting blacklisted by this man, who had a lot. But you know what? His best friends became my best friends to this day, because what God has for you, no man could ever take away. Ever.
Thank you for that.
That's right.
On your website.
On your website.
And then guess what? They're probably reading your website right now.
Man.
Beautiful.
Well, Gabby, before we go, you have to answer the question.
I have to answer it.
Yeah.
I can't answer it. You know why I can't answer it? Because y'all already answered it for me. My story is a little bit of every piece of what you all said. My biggest thing is to dream bigger. My dreams weren't big enough at 8, at 18. They weren't big enough at 28. The things that I have experienced in these past few years have been bigger than I could ever imagine. And every time I think I would be happy to just get this, God comes in and gives me the whole pie instead of the slice. And I say, okay, I hear you. I'm not dreaming big enough. I'm not stepping into what I'm meant to be. And it's an everyday learning process for me. I love you too, Jeannie. I just I'm so blessed to even be on this call with you all tonight and soaking up this knowledge. And in addition to everything you all have said, which is a part of my story, it really is for me telling those younger versions of myself, dream bigger.
I love it. I love it. I mean, with all that being said, right?
I don't know where I feel like we need to pass the offering plate for everybody.
Seriously.
Spoke a word tonight. I'm full. I know our readers are full. We just we've had a good time here tonight, answering questions, getting ready for this weekend. I know me personally, I am extremely ready for Saturday now after speaking with you all. And I can hope I can speak for the rest of you as well, and for our viewers tonight, that we have just absolutely built up the hype for Saturday, and I can't wait to get there.
Yes, I can't wait. If you guys don't already know, FFIAs is opening the show. Yes. And after intermission, we're gonna have like a little mini 10-minute party from our DJ performing. I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody on Saturday. I'm not counting the hours, honey, like Gabby said, but I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm really thankful to each and every one of you for just being a part of the Full Forget Industry Awards team, being a part of the family, because, you know, the Full Figure Industry Awards is bigger than just me. It's not about me. It's about all of us. And I'm so appreciative of everybody who, you know, took the time to even join this live and listen to, you know, what each of us have to say. Hopefully I'll see all of y'all on Saturday at the Full Figure Industry Awards. Come dressed. Please come and find me. There are a lot of people after the award show like, oh my God, I didn't get to see you. But please come and find me. Ask somebody for me. I want to see everybody. This year, I'm making it my mission to stand at the door as people are being seated, so I say hello to everybody. That's my goal.
Philip got to make that happen. We're going to put that on his list of things to do.
Yes. Thank you, Erica.
Well, I want to say thank you to first our panel here tonight. Thank you for taking out the time to come on live and chat with us, to ask questions and then also answer questions. You know, I know we weren't really expecting that, but that was just the way that the evening flowed, and we are so blessed by that. Thank you to our viewers who have tuned in. Thank you to our media partners and industry partners who reached out and had questions and participated in advance and tonight, engaging with this live. Please like, share with your friends, with your network, and comment. If there are any additional questions, feel free to continue to engage with this live. After it's over, you may get your question answered at some point. If you have a burning question, you can also email us. Phil, if you could put the email in the chat if there's a question that you need answered right away, please do that. But thank you so much. For those of you that we will see on Saturday, we can't wait to see you. Get there early, doors open at 3:00. Come and enjoy the company of others, the presence, and then be seated at 4:00 sharp, so that we can start our event and start celebrating the phenomenal people in this community.
Let me hit the rewind button. I don't want you to be seated at 4:00 sharp. I want you to be seated before 4:00.
Well, I don't want you to be seated before 4:00.
We talked about time. Maddie, I know I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but before we go, I don't want to leave a question unanswered. would you mind taking that last question, Phil? Can you put it up there for me, please?
I wanted to get into the industry. What other things to do? I start the journey already looking for a model. Oy. That's a whole other hour.
Right, because I know on your website you
Yeah.
You have a section where you address all of this stuff.
Yeah, we have, I mean, I've done videos, I've written out, you know, entire things on how to get started. Basically, like Tawana said earlier, you kind of have to know where in the industry, you know, you are. The rules are not what they were 20 years ago. You don't have to have like this super perfect skin and whatever.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you're going to get books for being you. My biggest advice would be you, represent who you are, because you are the one that you're unique in who you are, and not only in what you look like, but who you are inside comes out. I'm such a big believer. I have in a quick story, Forever 21 was looking, when Denise Bedell decided that she wasn't going to model for a little while and she was going to go into acting, they were looking for a replacement. They had a whole bunch of girls come in. They had brunettes and blondes. The blonde one was a great, you know, she was a great model, but she was blonde. The brunette wasn't a great model, but they weren't sure what they were going to go. What happened was that the brunette that looked like Denise Bedell, she had a really crappy attitude. So guess who they went with? The blonde. They were like, forget about replacing Denise and getting a lookalike. That girl, I mean, she had it. The body, the moves, the experience. She looked like her. They were just trying to like slip her in, like, oh, you don't notice it's Denise. They went with the blonde girl. You know what they did? They invested in her, gave her posing classes. They invested in the model because she was so nice. I'm a big believer in what's in here comes out of here. So apply that to your modeling, you know, and do your research, you know, and have patience, because not everybody's an overnight success.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Gabby, sorry.
Any closing remarks from you, Tawana?
Other than I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at the show on Saturday. Not really, just thank you for supporting you know, everything that I attempt to put out. I know some of my ideas be a little wacko, but you know, I mean well. But seriously, thank you for supporting the industry as a whole. And I'm always open for collaborations. Some people I don't know personally. Some people I would love to get to know personally. I'm approachable. You can always hit me up in my DM. You can always text me if you have my number. I'm always open for collaborations because, you know, our voice carries further as a choir than it does as a soloist. I don't know if I made up that quote, but I'm coining that because that's the second time I said that. So yeah, that's it for me. And thank you for everybody for tuning in and supporting. Everybody that I reached out to who just always say yes, you know, without their handout. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Well,
and I love
y'all. Love you for sure. Love you and thank you. All right, everyone. Well, we are going to sign off. I'm Gabriella Symone Parker. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you all on Saturday. Good night.
Bye, guys.
Good night.